navigating the Old Boys Club.
The Old Boys Club.
That's right. And on this panel, we have Uju Ifejika. She is the CEO, Britannia U Nigeria Limited. Please give her a round of applause as she comes. She is the first and so far only woman to become owner and operator and CEO of an upstream E&P company in Nigeria. Come on, ladies. And in 2007, she elected to take a voluntary early retirement after a career that spanned 21 years. And in that year, she started her company, and she has steered that company to its current leading position. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Uju Ifejika as she takes the stage. Also on this panel, we have Asue Igodalo, founding partner Banwo and Igodalo, one of the gentlemen in our midst today. And as I said, he's the founding partner of Banwo and Igodalo, one of the foremost commercial law firms in Nigeria. He's a member of the Nigeria Bar Association, and he's the chairman, board of directors, Sterling Bank, Dangote Flour Mills, and the Nigeria Economic Summit Group. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Asue Igodalo. We're only just getting started, so we're going to have to keep the applauses going. Also on the panel, apologies from Dr. Jade Simi. She wasn't able to join us today, so she's being replaced by Dr. Celestina Eke, who is the head technical Federal Integrated Staff Housing. Dr. Celestina started her career, her career has spanned through banking, project management, facilities management, administration, and all aspects of construction and infrastructure business and practice. She served twice as a council member of the Nigeria Institute of Quality Surveyors, first as a co-opted member of the Institute and later as Secretary Marketing and Corporate Affairs, and she was the pioneer treasurer of the National Executive of Women Association of Quantity Surveyors in Nigeria. A round of applause, Dr. Celestina Eke.
A round of applauses. It is a big deal to be on these panels, to speak on this stage. So please, can we encourage with a hearty round of applause?
All right, another gentleman on our panel, Mr. Danladi Verheijen. He is the co-founder and CEO of Verrod Capital. It's a leading Anglophone West African-focused private equity firm with over $300 million of assets under management, investing in middle market growth companies, and the World Economic Forum named Mr. Danladi a young global leader. A round of applause. And last but certainly not least, our moderator, Abimbola Ogunbanjo, who is the chairman, Nigeria Stock Exchange, joined the prestigious and renowned law firm of Chris Ogunbanjo and Co. in 1990, and he currently serves as the firm's managing partner. He has a vast knowledge of experience in commercial law, especially in capital markets, shipping, and corporate and M&As. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Abimbola Ogunbanjo. And now we're going to hand it over to our moderator.
Hello. Well, good morning, distinguished ladies, and I assume there are some gentlemen in our midst. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I must confess that when I walked into this auditorium and I saw this large gathering of women, I must say I felt somewhat intimidated. And I can very well empathize with the ladies in the room when you attend similar functions where men dominate the event. Before we start the conversation, permit me to preface the theme of this morning's discourse with some remarks on gender parity. Closing the gender gap globally. The quest to close the gender gap has become mainstream with the inclusion of Sustainable Development Goal 5, which aims to ensure women's full and effective participation and equal opportunities for leadership at all levels of decision-making in political, economic, and public life. According to data from the World Economic Forum, it may take another 202 years to close the economic gender gap globally at current levels of progress. Gender inequality is a significant barrier to social equity and sustainable development globally. Women continue to play lower roles than men in leadership and business, which results in lower access and control of resources for women. According to the United Nations, women represent less than 40% of the global workforce. For every 4 men, 3 women participate in the labor market. As of 2018, women occupied only 27% of managerial positions in the world, with a gender pay difference of 12% from their male counterparts. Women are more likely to participate in the informal economy than in formal employment. Across Africa, women are more likely to work in agriculture or in lower productivity work environments. In positions of leadership, representation of women is significantly less than for men. Less than 6% of seats in parliament are held by women. While some progress has been made to increase women's participation in decision-making levels of leadership and business, the progress is relative. For example, in the least developed countries, the proportion of women in management has not increased since 2000. Hence, a holistic approach to reduce the gender disparity is crucial for the development of an equitable, peaceful, and sustainable society. Bringing it home and talking about gender equality in Nigeria, the role of women in sustainable economic development cannot be overlooked, especially in emerging economies. The African continent boasts the highest number of women-led businesses. Within a context wherein gender inequality results in a loss of up to 35% of GDP in Africa, there's no question at all that increasing and sustaining economic opportunities for women is critical in Africa's growth and development. Bringing the story closer to home, in comparison to countries at similar levels of development, the gender gap in Nigeria is relatively high. For example, in the 2018 WF Global Gender Gap Report, Nigeria ranked 133 out of 149 countries reviewed globally, and 29th of the 33 sub-Saharan African countries reviewed. So, why is closing gender gaps so important for the Nigerian socio-economic development? The IMF estimates that if Nigeria was to reduce gender inequality, the economy would grow on average by as much as 1.25%. If we must join the Committee of Nations in the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, closing gender gaps will be vital to creating an equitable and fair access to economic resources. Then we come to the informal networks, which we're talking about today, the multidimensional approach. Solving the challenge of gender equality in Nigeria requires a multidimensional approach, which includes education and awareness, national policies on gender issues, setting specific diversity goals for businesses, mentorship, and access to networks. In 2013, Harvard Business Review found that the lack of access to informal networks, especially those networks that can provide important information, is one of the primary barriers to the advancement of women. Giving women access to communities they can learn from gives them the opportunity to step out of their comfort zone which increases the likelihood of taking risks and boosts engagement in their various businesses. One of such informal networks is the Old Boys Club. The concept of the Old Boys Club. Various sources have referred to the Old Boys Club as an informal system of friendships and connections through which men use their positions or influence by providing favors and information to help other men. Often, men are connected through similar education, family, sports, or religious backgrounds or social clubs. These networks are no different from today's concept of building networks over a lifetime. The concept of the Old Boys Club appears to be reinforced due to the prevalence of single-sex schools in the past compared to today. For example, in Nigeria, a significant number of leaders at the top of business and politics today are products of schools such as King's College, Queen's College, Igbobi College, Government College Ibadan, and other similar schools. It would seem many of them are sustaining the tradition as we now have social clubs like the Metropolitan Club, that is a single-sex membership club that even forbids attendance by women on certain days. Our conversation here today will seek to explore how informal networks like the Old Boys Club can drive efforts to close gender gaps and help increase the number of women in boardrooms. I have no doubt that this panel will do justice to the topic. It's a privilege to have with us this morning my dear sister, Uju Ifejika, the CEO of Britannia U Nigeria. Unfortunately, Amy Jadesimi could not be here, so we have Dr. Celestina, who has stepped in for her. Danladi Verheijen, Managing Director, Verod Capital, and my good brother, Aswe Igodalo, founding partner of Banwo and Igodalo. Let me start with you, Danladi. You have quite an interesting educational profile, and you've been involved in alumni associations like the Harvard Alumni Network. Would you say the Old Boys Club is a myth or a reality? If you believe it exists, how, in your opinion, has the club evolved over time in Nigeria?
Thank you very much, and first of all, thank the organizers of this conference for inviting me here. It's a real honor and pleasure to be here in your midst. It's a very interesting topic, very sensitive topic, and a very absolutely pertinent topic today. Question about the Old Boys Club existing or not, I absolutely believe that it exists today. I think it has perhaps evolved slightly from some of the very formal structures you spoke about, which is the alumni, the formal alumni groups of a lot of these old, previously all-male schools, to largely very informal male networks that exist today. Now, some of these formal networks still exist. Like you mentioned King's College Old Boys, you mentioned Metropolitan Club, you mentioned, in addition to that, there's the Freemasons and other organizations that are really all male and are there, unabashedly talk about just promoting male interests effectively, to more of the social networks that are just created now, I think because we all sort of have very inherent biases and more so support our own, unfortunately. That may be gender, that may be race, that may be, socioeconomic status, whatever it is. I think just human nature, we have a natural bias towards our own. Now, in this case, we're really talking about the exclusion of women, so exclusion of 50% of the population from a group that's out there effectively supporting their own. So I think it exists firmly, and we definitely need to look for ways of making things more equal, because I think it's absolutely unfair.
Thank you. Has it had an impact, has the Old Boys Club had an impact on your career?
So that's a very interesting question, right? Before, when I first thought about it, my initial answer would have been no. It has not had an impact on my career. But as I considered it a lot more, a certain analogy came to mind, and that is, I enjoy running a lot. I enjoy long-distance running. And it's always interesting that when the wind is behind you, you run a lot faster, you're not breathing as heavy, it just seems smooth and but a lot of times you don't know that you're running effortlessly because of the wind behind your back. However, when we're running into the wind, you feel it and you know there's wind blowing in your face. And I use that same analogy to think about myself. So initially I thought, what's this network? I can't think of, the formal network I've been part of that has really picked me out and supported my career. But as I really think back, I have definitely been supported by people who identified with me in one way or the other and just gave me opportunities that likely did not give everybody else. And because, I didn't think about that consciously at that point in time, it's sort of like that wind behind your back that you don't feel is there. But as you look back and if you're honest with yourself, it's absolutely been something that's part of my career.
Interesting. Let me turn to my sister, Uju. Uju, you are reputed to be one of the most successful women in the male-dominated oil and gas industry in Nigeria. Many women here will look at you and assume that you've had a very successful career in resolving the gender issues that may have come up in your early career. Has there been any instance where you've had to navigate through the old boys club to achieve success in your career and business? Madam, I limit you to 4 minutes in responding.
Excuse me. You cannot come in. You see, what we are saying now, you can see the number of women here.
Correct.
We are asking for 35% affirmative action. So you cannot come and tell me 4 minutes. You brought me here. So. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I know that there are not many of the gentlemen because this is women affair. So I welcome all of you. To the question that you asked, the boys club, I don't know what you meant by boys club. Can you explain to me what is boys club?
Boys club.
Yes.
Old boys club.
You tell me what boys club is so that, because before you ask how I navigated, I want to know what is your own boys club?
An informal system, I quote, of friendships and connections through which men use their positions of influence by providing favors and information to help other men. That's the definition of old boys club.
That one, I know they're lucky for that side. I have been able to navigate through not only murky water, it's shark water. But the first thing that each and every one of you here, I want you to understand, there's something inside you that nobody has. And the first thing is to discover who you are. And then that is what I did. And being able to discover who I am, the issue of somebody telling me that this is not possible, impossibility does not exist in my book. And when I got into the oil industry, they told me that they gave me 2 months. That this is not about wearing nice suits, because I love suits. And it's not about painting faces, that this is serious business. And I didn't say anything. But when it came to punching, I punched real hard, and they all know. So my getting to where I am today is through dint of hard work and God's guidance. So I didn't have the opportunity of anybody influencing my getting into the oil industry, because if I did, I would not, the $23 million loss that I made my first experience, somebody would have borne that. But I did that, and that is what toughened me to now ensure that I'm still standing. So I wasn't lucky to go through the boys' club.
Thank you, Uju. Let me turn to my good brother, Aswe. You're regarded as a boardroom guru and have held very senior roles in reputable organizations for several years. I might add that you are the joint honorary secretary of the famous Metropolitan Club referred to earlier. Just for clarity. How has your network helped you ascend to these levels of leadership throughout your career?
Bimbo, you shouldn't have mentioned Metropolitan Club. First of all, let me thank all my sisters, the 11 sisters and one wife and one brother that are the BOT and have brought me here today again, and the exec guys. And I see a couple of my aunties here. Good morning, and good morning, Chairperson. Justice Ukeje, good morning, ma. You know why I'm greeting you. So when you talk about Old Boys Network, you know you're the king of Old Boys Network. But she's actually the king of Old Boys Network, but I'll leave it there. And my good sister, the First Lady of Ekiti State. Bimbo, you were a bit unkind talking about Metropolitan Club. But let me say something. And I'll take it on from where Uju stopped. There are concentric circles of networks that we all have. By birth, by school, by friendships, by marriage, even when we start work. What I have discovered is that many people don't tap into their networks. That's what I've discovered. So if you look at by birth, your parents' friends, your parents' relationships, in school, I noticed particularly the boys, old boy associations in schools are very strong. The girls, not as strong. Yeah. In university, even professionally. I understand that people think there are things that culturally make it difficult for women to network, but I don't agree. I think that what we need to do are a couple of things. First of all, show seriousness. Second of all, show you're extremely hardworking and you're passionate about what you do, and people take you seriously. The other thing is, and I know that I'm running into murky waters here, I don't think women help themselves enough. You know, I don't think so. From my own experience. A few of our successful women mouth that they mentor, but where do you mentor to? And how do you mentor? Yeah. Some have mentored, but did they finish the mentoring process? And one of the things I've noticed sitting at boards and in different places is that sometimes the lone woman that gets there isn't advocating other women, she's advocating other men. So when women have started from a position, or if you look in the 50s and the 60s, our mothers went to school after their brothers had gone to school, so women were starting from a position of disadvantage. Shouldn't women be more affirmative about women? It took Lamido Sanusi to drag up women into the boards of banks, affirmatively. I know WIMBIZ is doing a lot, but I think WIMBIZ can be more activist about this. I want WIMBIZ women to talk for women. There are many, many competent women in the environment, so WIMBIZ women should talk for women. I know sometimes women have to work 5 times as hard as men to get to places. I know that. But I think one thing WIMBIZ must do even better is to talk for its women, to fight for its women, and to pull its women up. We all have our networks. Let's use our networks. My network, I've been blessed, I've been lucky. My network from birth, my network from school, my network from university has helped, no doubt whatsoever. I've walked into meetings or what we call beauty parades, and I'm looking at somebody that we met maybe 30 years ago, and that's the end of the meeting. Every other person closed out. I'm in, they're out. It's as simple as that. But you have to show competence. If you're not competent, you won't be in. So, and I know many women show competence, but women shouldn't set a bar for other women that's higher than what they set for men.
For themselves.
Women want other women to be 8 times as good. No. 2 times as good is acceptable. So women should let that happen. I'm a child and a product of a woman who pulled up other women. When my mother became permanent secretary, there were no women around, none. And she pulled up many women. So I know about pulling up women. And if you don't do it affirmatively, it won't happen. So yes, there's an old boys network. Boys prefer to hang with boys. But honestly, boys value girls. And when you sit at a board meeting, boys really value girls. I had a board meeting recently where all the boys had a go at each other, all. And it was on a very sensitive issue, things to do with money. And the lone girl in the room had listened to everybody and she said, guys, calm down. Let's do it this way. She'd listened, she applied wisdom, she applied knowledge. And many women bring wisdom, they bring knowledge, they bring strength to boards.
Thank you, Ashley.
But one more thing I want to say, Bimbo, and I use this as my classic example. Hillary Clinton would have been president of America, and the world would have been a better place if women stood up for her.
Asway. Thank you very much. I haven't finished with you. Yet. Asway, I haven't finished with you yet. That last comment you made earned you maximum brownie points, and I applaud myself. But would you say, Asway, would you say that Godfatherism plays a role in the workplace and how, either for male or for women, does it play a role in ascending the corporate ladder? Godfatherism.
That's a tough one. Let me say yes. But then it depends on how you do it and how you structure it. If you're serious about building a strong, sustainable, profitable organization, there's a way in which you do it. If you don't care and you run it the way we run many things in Nigeria, that's the way you do it. So let me stay with a strong, profitable, sustainable organization. You would be godmother or godfather to people that are passionate, hardworking, efficient, focused, have integrity. Those are the kind of people you want to see around you. Those are the kind of people you will hand over to. So you'll mentor them and you'll godmother them. That's the kind of godfatherism that I favor and I see. And that's the one that works. The other side or the other kind, not good for us. But that's what we see in many spheres of life in Nigeria. So my answer to that is that the positive godfatherism is good. It's positive is good. Chief Olopade there is one of my godfathers. But
Structured godfatherism. Let me turn to Dr. Celestina. Doctor, what is your idea of mentorship?
Before I even answer your question, I completely disagree with him that women don't pull women up. You can't see these beautiful women are making their marks in the society, say they don't pull women. Look at the crowd. People must have motivated them to come here. So, I disagree completely. We encourage ourselves. Mentorship, yes.
We'll come back to that.
Yes.
We'll come.
Mentorship.
Yes.
Mentorship is somebody you have kind of affinity with, that have the same kind of professional line, or that is interested in what you're doing. So you're mentoring the person, a mentee. The person is looking up to you, like we look up to Mrs. Awoshika and all of them here. So when we see her do programs in the TV, mentoring people, advising them how young women to come to organizations and do better and acquire leadership positions, it motivates us. You don't have to have one-on-one mentorship for someone to mentor you. You can follow a program up and follow lines of the person's growth. That's enough to be a mentor. So I've been, if there's anything like an old boys club, I've been there all my life. As a professional quantity surveyor, it's all male-dominated field. You have to work 10 times as hard as a man. When I was in First Bank, I was in general services, and that position is meant for men. I was the first female quantity surveyor to head general services in Abuja, and I knew what I faced. So if people are closing by 6, I close by 10, because I didn't want anything to leave any gap. I didn't want a situation whereby somebody will now see you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So all those challenges, I knew my position in the bank made people to look up to me and to work hard. So coming for mentorship, it's not only a woman that can mentor you, a man can equally mentor you. So because I was in a male-dominated field, quantity surveyors are all men, very few women. The women that will do quantity surveying will stop at maybe HND level. When they get to the degree, they marry, they don't want to pursue because they're a very tough one. So my profession nominated me to the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies. And in NIPS, it's all men. We're only 10 women. And these men you are seeing are controllers of custom, permanent secretaries, and all that. So if my profession sees me fit to be in that midst of people, then women are not doing badly. So mentorship mustn't be on one-on-one. As I'm standing here, I'm sure I'm mentoring somebody. Somebody is hearing my story and be mentored and be inspired. Thank you.
Thank you. I have to turn back to you, Doctor, whether you can distinguish between mentorship and sponsorship.
Sponsorship. I've spoken a lot about mentorship. Sponsorship is where somebody is in a position of power,
correct,
authority, and you are actually in a smaller class, and the person can encourage you to grow, put you in the line. It mustn't be in the same field or profession with you, but you have kind of look up to the person to give you some strength to succeed and move on. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Let me turn back to Aswe on the issue of sponsorship, because I think godfatherism can be equated with sponsorship, because you have a protege. Do you think that sponsorship presents women with the undue advantage? And how important is mentorship sponsorship by male C-suite executives to ensuring we have more female presence and participation in the boardroom through mentorship, through mentorship and sponsorship?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I'm talking, that's for Aswe.
For me?
Yes.
No, I said it initially. The affirmative action that the Emir of Kano started when he was CBN governor was a plus. I think it's important that both men and women support competent women to rise to the top. It's important. We can't have an environment where over 50% of the population is not contributing as much as it can contribute. And that's what we find with women being excluded from a lot of top positions and top places. I think we should take a deliberate action on this. On the boards on which I sit, we take a deliberate action to look for extremely competent women. You find out that many women, when they are focused on what it is they're doing, are much better at it than the men. Many men don't want to accept that, but they are less emotional about the wrong things. And because they are less emotional about the wrong things, it's not about ego and it's not about money. They're able to focus on the right things that drive and sustain the organization. So I'm all for affirmatively supporting women to rise to the top, but we should just ensure that, like everything else, whether men or women, it's the right person that gets the right job.
Thank you,
that's all.
Let me turn back to Doctor and to ask her how we can close gender gaps and how important will closing such gaps within business be to achieving organizational objectives and competitiveness. Doctor, closing gender gaps.
To close gender gap, women really have to work, like I said, 10 times as hard as men. Because...
Five, Aswe, 5.
That's your perspective. You have to be super intelligent as a woman to be able to compete favorably with men. The environment favors men a lot in so many ways, from family to schools and all that. So when you work hard and you are intelligent, the sky is your limit. You'll be able to compete favorably, and the gap will definitely be closed. Thank you.
Danladi, I think you want to make a comment on that.
Yes, I think it's a great question. I think there are many different levels at which you need to attack that problem. I mean, there's also an individual responsibility as well as a collective responsibility, right? I think a lot of times we focus on getting women to the top, right? And how do you get into boardrooms, which is critical, very important. But how about the middle stages as well, right? I don't think anyone in that entire spectrum should be forgotten. We need to understand how to pay more attention to that person who's only been working for 2 years. That person as well will be greatly benefited by having access to mentorship, understanding sort of what opportunities are, giving feedback on, how you relate to certain bosses in the organization, whether they're male or female, right? So these networks, I believe, need to occur at different levels in the organization, these informal networks, and to be really supportive of each other. And it's not merely, how do you get someone to the board level? And so on the individual level, it's sort of also, what is each of us in this room doing to support, 5 women behind us, no matter what level that is? As I think of, my career and coming through, my first mentors when, I started working were not necessarily the chairman of organizations. There were people who were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ahead of me, but not 30 years ahead of me, right? And then you sort of grow in a mentorship that way. And then I think as an institution, there's probably a lot more that can be done. There's lots of great work happening now, but I think, with some of these structures, they're really power structures, and a lot of these informal power structures do not like to admit folks who are not necessarily like them, right? And again, be that gender, be that ethnicity, whatever it may be. And so while we're trying to break into some of those structures, I think organizations like WIMBIZ and the many others, who effectively, I think, are also creating a bit of a girls' club, should continue to do what they're doing and strengthen these girls' clubs and be and be extremely intentional about promoting the interests of women. I mean, there's nothing wrong. The boys are doing that, so why not the girls? Right? Maybe I'm not sure WIMBIZ does this already. How about surveys of companies and how well they're doing on some of these gender statistics? Some of us men on stage who are talking, who, I guess I leave myself as an example, talking like we're big supporters of women. Come and ask me about my own company. How many women do we have at different levels? Who's being promoted, right? So put us on the spot. I think is very important. I think Mrs. Fayemi also spoke a lot about patriarchism in society, sorry. And a lot of these sort of inherent biases that we all have, right? And how do we attack some of these biases? So it's not just promoting folks, it's also, you have hardworking people who are just not recognized. Right? Because men in general are probably a lot more self-promoting. So how do you identify these women who work hard, don't self-promote themselves, and pull them up? But then also, how do you identify those who have the potential? Because lots of these structures help to bring out the potential that individuals have. And how do you identify potential barriers to them working and doing more? Like has been said, women have to work 5 times as much, but also have 2 or 3 more jobs. Expected to, run households and do a number of other things men don't have to do. Yeah. So a number of things we have to do is not just identify the women that you want to pull up, but also identify the things in organizations like flexible working hours and other things that would allow more women to shine up and rise. The final thing is just about these inherent biases, right? And again, just going back to something I've said over again, we all have these inherent biases. We're all just human beings. And we need to sort of attack and, shine the light on some of these biases that we all have. So, I'd encourage organizations like this to ensure that, you have forums like this, but then also get all the spouses of all the women who are here to also listen to things, to also listen to understand the issues, and figure out how they can also enable their own spouses, right? Maybe more of them need to take more time off work and be at home with their kids. I'm not sure what all the solutions are. You'll know them a lot better. But I think you're also preaching slightly to the choir. And you should also spend more time preaching to folks outside who can support that mission. And the last thing I'm going to say, just some biases. And I may be wrong here, I may be going out on a limb, but I looked at the bag that was given given to us when we walked in the room, and there are a number of items in there, detergents and soaps, sanitary pads, and I was just wondering what biases that reinforces, and is that what we really want to be reinforcing amongst the professional women in the crowd?
Oh dear.
Sorry, Bimbo, one thing.
Oh dear.
Bimbo, very quickly.
Very
quickly, I just want to say
unfortunately,
something.
I didn't get the bag, so I don't know what was inside. I didn't see what was inside.
I didn't get the bag either, so I didn't see. But Bimbo, very quickly, can I just say something very quickly here? Following from Dan Ladi. Please, ladies, don't be apologetic. When you're being affirmative, don't be apologetic. Do it right, don't be apologetic. Secondly, and this is my pet topic, I noticed that all of you here, the women, you're very tough on your girls when you're bringing them up. You make them do the tough work, you make them very responsible, and then you kind of forget about your boys. And it's your boys, if they're not made responsible, who marry your girls and then don't support them, and then don't allow them to work. So you mothers have to work hard on your boys. You have to make them responsible.
True.
And like my mother did to me, you have to give them something like the yellow bowl. The day my sister went to secondary school, my mother gave me a yellow bowl. In that yellow bowl, all her underwear. And I washed it till I went to secondary school.
Lord.
And I passed it to my brother.
Oh Lord. I think we need to move away from that topic of the contents of the bag and the yellow bowls. Uju, let me turn to you, my sister. Uju, what do you believe are typical mistakes that some women make in the workplace which has negatively impacted their growth, and how can these pitfalls be avoided, the mistakes they make at the workplace?
Thank you. I think the major mistakes that we women make in the workplace is, first, you come to your new office or where you're working, you're a pretty girl, you're nicely dressed, and you feel that that is what will earn you the position. Yes, it can earn you the position for a short time, but outside that work environment, that will not count. Secondly, even in that position in the workplace, because you're not looking at improving yourself and being the best on your job, you're looking at your looks. The men take advantage of that. The only thing that we need to do, you don't look at yourself as women, pretty instrument. You look at yourself as God creation to do the impossible. So getting in on your job, you learn the job to be the best, to show the men that you can do that job better than them. And women usually are. Now, most people, once you come out, you don't blame the men when you come out in a workplace and you're curvy and then you move in a very tantalizing way. And they chase you. fine, they get you. It can only last for a short time because as you're there, a new person is going to come in. Then there will be fracas in the place. That's when you now say that they don't like you, they hate you. No, you caused it. So if you come in there, you didn't come in there to look for men. The men should go outside if they want women, not inside there. And you don't succumb to any threat or intimidation, which is what a lot of girls, women, they go through that. I worked for Texaco. I was the first female acting general counsel. Dr. Kachuku handed over to me. Okay? And nobody messed with me. I became the youngest company secretary, public and government affairs, in 1997. And Dr. Ndie Okereke will attest to that for 5 years consecutively, the company won the Stock Exchange President Merit Award as the best oil and gas company ever. That is not something that comes in as somebody who is not focused. The white people there, they could not bring me to be subservient to them. I told them, I said, I am the daughter of the land. The job, you can't teach me the job because I teach the MDs when they come in, the board policy. Okay? So if I wasn't good, the time I wanted to leave, they will not be asking me not to go. So what you need to do in any place you find yourself, whether in the workplace, business, environment, stand up for yourself. Check within you and discover yourself. So when anybody is telling you, I cannot give you this job, you say thank you. That means that God does not want you to be in that place. You move on. You will get to a point where it's your own job and God will make it possible for you. Once you get in there, that which is inside you, you will use it to work and actualize your vision. Each and every one of us has a vision. So the mistake that anybody feels that as a woman you're pretty, it can earn you anything. No. It can earn you for a short time. So don't make that mistake. Be your best in wherever you find yourself. And that's it.
Thank you, Ju. Very, very interesting. Aswe, do you perceive that some women have a feeling of entitlement rather than competing, rather than competing on equal terms to earn a seat on the table? Do you perceive that?
No, I think women are more embattled than entitled. They're embattled.
Embattled.
Yeah. The environment is sometimes rigged against them. So they're not anywhere near where they should feel entitled. They don't feel entitled. They feel they have to work at least 5 times as hard as the man. They feel embattled. They feel there's a reverse bias against them. They think people are looking at them for the wrong reasons. And so they have to step up, chest out, and work so hard, you know. So I don't think women feel entitled. They have a right to be entitled, but they don't feel entitled. They feel embattled. And I think we need to do a lot more work to ensure that we give women their rightful place. Your conference chairperson, when she was in the Federal High Court, for a long time she was the only woman anywhere near there, for a long time. And she held her own. She was one of my favorite judges by a mile. And it didn't have anything to do with the fact that she was my auntie or anything. It had to do with the fact that when I was a litigator, when I appeared before her, I knew that if I worked hard, if I didn't sleep, I would get justice for my clients. I couldn't say that for many other people. And I'd like to say that it's important that we continue supporting women, the right women. It's extremely important. And we should stop making them feel embattled. Yeah. We should make them relax and be like us.
Thank you, Aswe. Very well said. Let me close let me close with Dan Laddie and to ask in what ways can the Old Boys Club collaborate with gender-focused organizations like WIMBIZ to help close gender gaps across industries?
Well, difficult question because, like we said, I think that the Old Boys Club is not a formal club, right? Unfortunately, we can't go to the Metropolitan Club. Just joking. Sorry. So yeah, it's not a formal club. It's largely informal gatherings of people with aligned backgrounds, interests, probably even insecurities. So I think WIMBIZ, like I mentioned earlier on, can do even more. They're doing a great job now, just by helping to identify the various barriers to the advancements of women at all levels in organizations, and just trying to address and attack them head on. But I think it's, and then like I said, individually as well, we all need to think about sort of what are our own personal inherent biases and those that we have the influence over. So the men around us, and how could we begin to open up their eyes to certain actions or inactions, their actions or inactions that retard or the advancement of women.
Okay, thank you, Aladi. We're rounding up now, and we will now take Q&A. I know Uju is in a hurry to leave, but if you can spare us, say 20 minutes for Q&A before you go,
just
please.
1 minute. You're talking of the women, not being given their due. There's no way until you men, African men, from
African only.
on the African men will start from basis to start changing your mindset, because you people make your men to believe that they are the bosses. But one thing that you people don't know is that we, the women, all the women here, what is inside them is too much. We make you people feel that you're the bosses, but we know who are the bosses. So, for us, we feel there's no way. Even I see my aunties, Mrs. Awoshika, I see Mbola Adeshala, I see Mrs. Akonde, all of them, the Consular General, what they fought to get to the position they are. Even at that, the men still feel that they are more superior to us. But that is the biggest mistake that all of you make. We are superior to all of them. So what we are saying is that the earlier they start understanding that the women have risen up to take their rightful position, the better for them, including at the federal level. That is why you people, things are happening. Allow us to take our positions.
Thank you, Uju.
Don't worry, the yellow bull solves our problem.
The yellow bull, yes. I certainly won't take any. I don't think we can argue against what Uju has, at least not here. I think that brings us to the end of this session.
Thank you.
And we will take Q&A for the next 20 odd minutes.
Thank you very much.
10 minutes? Okay.
Thank you very much. We're going to take questions and answers now. Please, some ground rules. We are taking questions, please. Not comments or suggestions. Questions. For each microphone, we're going to allow a maximum of 3 people. Okay, we're going to allow a maximum of 1 person for each question. And please, if you have more questions to ask, kindly write them down and try to engage after the panel, because as you can tell, people are... Okay, so there are 3 microphones. There's one at the furthest end, one I'm speaking to, and one here. We are also going to take 1 question from the live stream audience. We have almost 100 people live streaming this conference right now. So we're going to take 1 question from them. I already have 1 person. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Madam, did you say 3 questions? 3, Just 3?
Yes, please. Just
Okay.
3. So there are people standing, just one person at each microphone.
Oh, okay.
My name is Yvonne. I want a corporate finishing school.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
No, you need to speak very
Can
into
you
the
hear
mic.
me? My name is Yvonne. I want a corporate finishing school called the Etiquette Place. I want to ask the women in the house, can you believe in yourself? Because when the sponsor is ready, can you believe in yourself enough?
Do you have a question?
That's the question. It's important. Can I land with this, please?
Okay.
It's important. Because we have the old boys club and people are ready to navigate and ready to sponsor you. But can you believe that you are enough? Because you are. You're not going to be enough. You are enough today.
Thank you very much.
That's my question to the women.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that really is a rhetorical question
Pretty
to
much,
the
but the
audience,
question
which
is
doesn't require
an answer.
Or they just raise their hands, basically.
Yes.
Raise their hands if you believe in yourself. Thank you. They believe.
So if you have a question, you have to come to the mic. We can't
Yes.
bring the mic to you, so please, you have to make your way to the microphone.
Next.
We're waiting for the live.
And we're waiting for the live stream question, so if we can get that as well. So just run up to the mic to make it quick.
Right here.
Good morning. Good morning. I have a question, and my question is for all.
Can you get closer to the mic?
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me? Your mic isn't working. Hello, good morning. My name is Shaya, and I work for EF Academy, and I have a question for all of you today. My question is, I've been to so many networking events, and they talk about equality. I remember the event that they had with WIMBIZ earlier this year about equality. And we all say the same thing, the old boys network and what we'll do when we get back. How do we track, and this is also for WIMBIZ as well, how do we track what everyone comes here to say and make sure that they say what they would and make sure that they say what they say they would do? Because it just sounds like it's ongoing, it's happening all the time, you know, with the same points that we give. But my question now today is, how do we implement a tracking system to make sure that we're not repeating ourselves? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, can we just take the final question so that you can take the answer? Yes, so go ahead, please.
Okay, my name is Mrs. Victoria Ekomo. I work with Transworld Security Systems. My question to WIMBIZ is, with the political landscape and the way the country is mismanaged, what is WIMBIZ doing to ensure that we position women to change what is going on so that Nigeria can move forward and take its rightful place in the Committee of Nations?
Thank you very much, ma'am. Mr. Gumandra, you can go ahead. You can go ahead with distributing the answers.
Okay. So that question is for WIMBIZ.
Okay, so they can visit, you can visit our website. We have a lot of information. Okay, sorry.
So,
all right.
are you going to respond? Or
Yes,
what?
yes,
Okay,
sir.
go ahead.
Just to answer your question, 2 years ago, we have a committee called WIMPOL, Women in Politics. And we are having series of events. Only on October last year, we had a dialogue last month in October, where we had a dialogue and we had the opportunity to have the Speaker of the House. And that was the event we had that our keynote speaker was referring to. We engaged women, we actually went for a courtesy visit, and we asked him direct question, that before you leave, what are you going to do to ensure that you pass the 35% affirmation? So that is going on, okay? And we're actually encouraging other women in corporate sector interested in politics to join us. Okay, so we're doing a lot, and you're going to hear a lot more in 2020. We're already preparing for 2023. Okay, so join us. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aziz.
So I think there was a question about tracking the outputs of this discussion here. Do you want to address that, Danladi?
Sure. I think it's a good question in terms of tracking. And like I said earlier on, I think it would be great if an organization like WIMBIZ or another organization creates a survey of some kind, maybe it's annual, that actually tracks the number of women at different levels in organizations and publishes that, right? Maybe that's already being done. Apologies if it's already being done. But in addition to that, I think one is to track that and publish that information such that there's a scorecard that can be reviewed. But secondly, also maybe create a toolkit, maybe that's already being done, that can help organizations who believe in gender parity, but may or may not know what all the various levels are to begin to strive and achieve gender parity in terms of policies and different things they may need to do in their organizations to get there. And I think so with the tracking and then also the toolkits, hopefully we'll begin to see a bit more of a change, in this regard.
Thank you, Nanaji.
And then very quickly, I think WIMBIZ particularly needs to put these organizations on the spot. Like Dan Ladi said, creating the toolkit and asking specific organizations where they know that they're not really gender balanced, why they're not. Also ensure that those organizations create an environment when women can go off, have their kids come back and not disadvantaged. Do other things, come back and not disadvantaged. But one other thing I want to say, and I'm addressing this to the chairperson of the EXCO and maybe the chairperson of BOT or my BOT sisters. A few weeks ago, the AU ambassador to the UN ran into very stormy waters. Nobody in WIMBIZ said anything. She was saying the right thing. She was standing firm. She stood as a woman. The men didn't back her, and then the women didn't back her. WIMBIZ has to stand for much more than some of the things we're doing. WIMBIZ has to stand for women everywhere. I thought I would have heard a very loud, what the hell is going on here from WIMBIZ? You guys, deafening silence. For you to become more effective, more relevant, stronger, and supportive of the women causes, you have to stand up to be counted on things Victoria said and things like that. That AU woman was like an orphan. Nobody spoke for her. Nobody.
Yeah, very good point. And I believe hasn't she been fired now? Aswe, hasn't that lady been fired or something to that effect?
Yeah, she was fired because she spoke about French oppression of French colonies. And she gave facts, figures, and statistics. And nobody spoke for her. She got fired summarily, and that was the end of it. And that's it. WIMBIZ should have kind of chested out. And it happens all over Nigeria all the time. WIMBIZ doesn't chest out. WIMBIZ should start chesting out.
And I think they should be doing that without any cultural inhibitions. We have a young lady.
Yes, she's 9 years old and she'd like to ask a question.
Morning, everyone. My name is Soibifa Jaja, and I make hair accessories. I'm 9 years old. I have a question, even though it doesn't really concern Nigeria. As he said, Aswe, as he said, Mr. Aswe, as he said, women support women. Women do not, some women don't support other women. And I want to confirm, isn't it the same, what Miss, oh God, Miss.
Don't worry, go ahead, take your time.
We're going to let her gather her thoughts. We'll come back to you in just a moment, but we have a question in the live stream.
Sorry?
Okay.
Huh?
You don't need to know how to
What's happening there?
As the auntie in black said, women support women. Women support women. But I'm here to ask, if women support women, Hillary Clinton is a woman, and there are other women in America. Why didn't women stand and support Hillary Clinton to win the presidential elections and went to stand for Trump? And now look at what Trump is doing to America.
Sorry.
Sorry, before we take that question, can we kindly quickly
Go
have
to the
live stream question, please? Live stream question, please.
Good morning, everybody. We have a question from Taiwo.
Sorry. Chizama, we're not able to hear you.
Can you hear me better?
Yes, okay.
Okay, so the question is from Taiwo. What would you advise as practical steps to get a mentor and somehow get a seat at this table that is dominated by men? That's a question for the panel.
So
and
the question is,
two,
how do you go about getting a mentor, and how do you indeed get a seat at this table?
Okay.
We have 2 questions from the live stream, if we can.
I'm so sorry, we cannot take any more questions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So the future president of WIMBIZ's question is directed to Celestine. So I'll have Celestine, Doctor, answer her question on the young lady's question. On the issue of mentorship and how you get a seat at the table, I think Aswe is ready to answer that one and close up the session.
Okay, the question our lovely girl asked was, why did women support Hillary Clinton? It's not completely that women didn't support her, but a lot of things was working against her. You know, a lot of factors were working against her. So nobody have the statistics of the number of women that supported and did not support. So, but we keep encouraging women to support women. Her case is a classical case where we noticed enough women did not support her in the States. But outside the United States, I discovered people were just rooting for her. But unfortunately, we could not vote to put her there. I'm sure if it was a diaspora voting, I'm sure women in Africa would have voted her in. So,
Celestina, can I say something? It's not correct that there are no statistics. The statistics are there.
I think
it was clear.
Yes.
70% of the white-collar women didn't vote for her, and 75% of the blue-collared women didn't vote for her. And the reason they gave, many of them, was that she supported her husband during the Lewinsky, that she stood by her man.
I did not.
And that was the reason many women gave. You know, for me, I didn't think the best prepared human being for the position of the President of America in over 100 years deserved to lose on the basis of her other women saying she stood by her man when she stood by him.
Yeah.
So women, no, one more thing, Bimbo. Women, honestly, when we have competent women standing up, women should please support them. It's
irrespective,
it's fundamental.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So we have to, ladies and gentlemen, we have to bring this session to an end now. So from our deliberations today, it
Sorry,
appears...
can we kindly allow Mr. Ogunbanjo to wrap up this session? Thank you very much.
Aswe, you see what you've caused. It appears we're all agreed in the very minimum that diversity and inclusion are important to creating a successful workplace and ultimately growing the nation's economy. With our collaborative efforts, we can work to improve women's representation in business, politics, science, and technology, as well as other areas seemingly dominated by men. I have certainly benefited from the nuggets of wisdom imparted by the panelists, and given your lively participation, I hope that it has been mutually beneficial. On behalf of the panelists, I thank you most warmly for inviting us to share our thoughts on the subject matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to call on Mrs. Igodalo to please take the stage. She's going to do the presentation of gifts for our panelists and our moderator. Please give her a round of applause as she comes. Come on, we can do better than that. One ticket to Dubai, a return ticket in just a moment, so stand by for that. We have a representative from Conga. The ticket is courtesy of Conga Travels.
So we also have Mrs. Talabi join them on stage for the picture.
Remember hashtags and all of that. We would love you to keep the conversation going online.
WIMBIZ 18 Annual Conference.
Yes.
Hashtag strategizing to win. Hashtag WIMBIZ Annual Conference 2019. Okay, so while the pictures are going on, we're going to quickly call on the representative from Conga.
Mr. Martins Odagwe, Head of Sales for Conga Travels. Let's give him a round of applause because they're giving us 2 tickets to Dubai.
So we're going to raffle 1 ticket off now. Remember, you have to be here to win.
That's right. It's a free and fair. Nobody tampered with this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Igodalo, another round of applause, please. Remember feedback forms, you're probably already getting them in your inboxes. We have a feedback form for every plenary session. Your feedback is really important. It allows us to improve and do better every year. For what, the last call? If you're a member of the committee though, okay, you're automatically disqualified. So please check your emails for the feedback forms and please fill them out. And just in case you didn't hear, because the room wasn't full when we talked about the Sunlight Prize, it's actually a grant. It's an empowerment grant in line with their women empowerment program. If you would like to get that 1 million naira, it's really not for free. You kind of have to do a bit of work. You need to fill out the Sunlight card and nominate yourself or somebody else in 50 words and tell them why you think you should get the 1 million naira grant. The winner will be announced tomorrow at 8:30. 3 criteria: it has to meet a need, align with Sunlight's purpose, which is women empowerment, and employ others. That's the only way to get the 1 million tomorrow. So please keep that in mind. Thank you very much, Mrs. Igodalo. A round of applause, please, for our panel. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Martins Odagwe, Head of Sales, Conga Travels, very quickly to pick. I think we need to shake it up because some people just dropped their cards just now. So shake it up real quick.
We're actually not, we're trying to discourage people dropping their cards. So please, we want to encourage you to drop your cards at the WIMBIZ booth.
Yeah.
Please.
There's another ticket up for grabs tomorrow.
There's another ticket up for grabs tomorrow, but this is closed for now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So as you see, this is, free and fair. And the winner of the ticket is...
Olubumi Afolabi, by Tracks, Asim.
Say it again. Olubumi Afolabi, by track accent. Olubumi Afolabi, are you in the house? Where are you? You need to hurry up. Are you the one in the red blazer? No? Olubumi.
Going once.
Going once. Going once. Going twice.
Come on now.
We can't find you. Identify yourself. Oh, we see you. Come on, get your prize. So today is going to be the only one, and tomorrow. Thank you so much, Mr. Martins. Thank you for being, yes, we're going to present to her. A round of applause for Olubumi.
And as we present the award, we just want to ask, we're going to get ready for our second plenary session.
Let's take a picture. Yes, sorry. If you could just come to the center of the stage to take a quick picture. A round of applause, sorry. Thank you so much, Konga. So it pays to put your card, to give your card at the booth. Now Olubimi is going to go to Dubai. You have a +1, ma. Can I nominate myself? No? Okay. Congratulations again. Thank you so much, Konga.